straight into it. We have 3 phones now. Great. So, let me see, what is this here? Right. So, let me say good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Giuseppe, Mr. and Mrs. Regis, my colleague Sharon Bruce, Mother Tunapuna Mano, Umanoga, all of our other loyal listeners. Good morning to all of you. I believe we are now about to put up the social media streams, YouTube and Facebook, so you can join us there. Right, so let me get straight into it. There's so many things I wanted to discuss. I was hoping to have a guest this morning, but wasn't successful with that, so we'll try later on during the week. I want to read 2 things here quickly. The first is a post that was put out by Vasant Bharat in response to Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her characterization of the shooting of this baby. And Mr. Bharat noted, undermining public trust and confidence in state institutions is the lowest and most despicable form of politics that any politician can practice, let alone a leader and former prime minister. The scurrilous and reckless attack on the CMO and the state's medical team by stating that they have been involved in premeditated, state-sanctioned murder is the desperate act of a politician who will do and say anything, regardless of the consequences, to remain relevant. The latest outburst, accusing our Coast Guard of murder in the unfortunate death of an infant, even before the investigation is completed, indicates the leader of the opposition is not fit for the office she holds. I condemn all those who sit around her and meekly accept the continued abuse of public officers and the dismantling of the very same institutions that are meant to serve us all. Shame on you all, so says Vasant Bharat, and this was a couple of days ago. Now, we must remember the position that Mr. Bharat would have held in Kamla Prasad Bisesa's administration. He was at one time the Minister of Food Production. You recall when he purchased the Porsche Cayenne, the purple Porsche Cayenne, and there was a loud uproar, hue and cry. When he purchased that, you know, the amount of money that was spent, taxpayers' money, of course, when that was purchased with taxpayers' money, the very people who today want to tell you all the alternative things that the government could have spent money on, all the alternative things that we could have spent the 15 million or the 20 million on instead of spending it on a taste of carnival. Back then, they didn't know all the alternatives that they could have spent that money on, the $400,000 plus that was spent, or more, for that Porsche Cayenne, which, according to Mr. Bharat, he was needed because as Minister of Food Production, you know, you go to certain places, certain rough and rugged terrain, and you need a vehicle like that. Eh? All you didn't know then, that it had poor people in Trinidad, it had suffering people, it had children whose parents didn't have money to send them to school. No, we didn't know about that. So it was okay to purchase that, right? Good. Aside from that position, Mr. Bharat was also Minister of Trade and Industry, and he was also Minister in the Ministry of Finance under Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, because apparently under her, that party and that government lacked people or persons who could handle a ministry by themselves. So the Ministry of Finance needed to have 3 ministers. Larry Hawaii, who was the substantive Minister of Finance, Vasant Bharat, Minister in the Ministry of Finance, and of course, Rujanath Indar Singh, also Minister in the Ministry of Finance. And still they couldn't get it right. But we know, jobs for the boys and so on. I want to juxtapose that statement against this one from a gentleman by the name of Diego Aria. Now, most people wouldn't know who Mr. Diego Aria is, so let me just enlighten you. Diego Enrique Aria Salicetti is a Venezuelan politician and diplomat who served as Venezuela's permanent representative to the United Nations, and he was also president of the United Nations Security Council. He was also governor of the Federal District of Caracas in the mid-1970s. Right? What did Mr. Aria have to say? Mr. Aria said, and he posted on Twitter, our appreciation to Kamla Prasad Bisesa, former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago and opposition leader, for stating that the Venezuelan baby was assassinated by the Coast Guard and for demanding justice. So, Mr. Aria is praising Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, for having the cojones, or as they call it, the breasticular fortitude, to call it what it was, an assassination by the Coast Guard, and also for demanding justice. So she's getting praises from Venezuelan politicians. Meanwhile, back home is stick. Boah. As she should receive. Right? Now, interestingly, not everybody in her camp who would normally praise her are on her side for this one. I heard Rodney Charles, the spin the wheel man, who was interviewed on another frequency a couple days ago, indicated that it would be irresponsible to speak on that whole incident in the absence of the final outcome of the investigation. He went further to say that to make any sort of comment on that matter without the investigation being completed would simply be conjecture and irresponsible. Now, I wonder if he told Kamala that, or if it is that he just said that on the in the interview and probably hoping that she would hear it. You have that kind of cojones, Rodney, to tell your leader that, to call her out on her foolishness? Or are you, just like all the others in the camp, yes, my leader, yes, my leader. What's this guy's name? Is Victor Charles? The man who dragging the call from everything is, yes, leader, yes, my leader, you know? Yeah, just switch out Massa for leader. But anyway, you know, the cult of personality, where they worship this individual like she's a goddess or some kind of queen, but like to call PNM people and the PNM party a cult. And, right. So, I made the point earlier on, last week, that as a senior counsel, self-appointed, and of course we know that as senior counsel, one is able to charge higher fees than the average attorney because you are seen as being senior, right? As senior counsel, Mrs. Prasad-Visesa ought to know what murder means. She ought to know that murder implies some level of premeditation. Okay? As former head of the National Security Council, she ought to know these things. But it's okay to say it, and, you know, because she knows that the bulk of the illiterati will support her on that. Albeit I see she getting some licks. So, kudos to those who are not afraid to call her out on her folly. But then you have the goodly senator, the dog liar, Anil Roberts, who, in trying to change the conversation, because he realized the faux pas that Mrs. Prasad-Visesa would have committed, and there is no defense for that. So what is he trying to do? To change the conversation by going on his program, right, and talking about or making allegations, as is the norm with him, that apparently that Dr. Rowley have some outside woman, and Foster Cummins with the outside woman, and the Horner man, the Horner man. This man is a senator in the Senate, the upper house of Trinidad and Tobago, duly appointed by Kamala Prasad-Visesa. And you would think that such a person would have a certain level of decorum, a certain level of respect, dignity even. Although dignity and Anil Roberts in the same sentence is a bit of a stretch. But a senator, nonetheless, right, goes on a radio program, not just on Facebook. This program is also carried on radio from 6 to 9 every morning, called Doubles and Coffee. And you come in to talk about Horner man, the Horner man, and the Prime Minister. And you see, and his colleagues will not condemn that foolishness. His colleagues will look at that and they will praise. And when you look at the number of times that was shared, right, and the comments under it, and the comments that kind of nastiness will elicit from the members of the illiterati, right? It tells you something. It tells you something about that party and the caliber of people who support that party, right? They're not going to condemn him for that. Even if we know the character of the man, but oh gosh, you're a senator. Have some respect for your office. But if it was, but you know, they love to say, Keith Rowley this and the Prime Minister, when it is that Dr. Rowley, when it was revealed by Inshan Ishmael, what Dr. Rowley told them in private, in a private setting, oh, they went to town on Dr. Rowley. How the Prime Minister could say something like that and this and that and whatnot. But you have a senator publicly making these statements. And then to add insult to injury, they have a group called, a Facebook profile called Kick Out the PNM. So I see they post up a video now with Dr. Rowley, with somebody who looks like Dr. Rowley, in a quick shop or a little parlor or something, a little grocery mini mart, where he went and he's eating. He went to buy some snacks or something, and he walks in with a young lady and somebody else, and they're trying to make an implication that that Dr. Rowley went somewhere with the outside woman, and this is the depth to which they have reached Trinidad and Tobago, in the absence of being able to, or their inability to throw any type of mud that will stick, any type of cogent allegation of corruption or wrongdoing against this government or the Prime Minister. What do? As Jerlene John once told us, when they go low, we go below the pavement. As I always tell you all, what is below the pavement? The gutter, the sewer. That's where they belong. That you will, I don't know where they get the video from, but you see, it speaks then again to the society that we become, because obviously the footage, I don't know what that is, when that took place, but the footage would belong first of all to the proprietor of the establishment. So I don't know if the proprietor would have seen it fit, perhaps, if in fact it is the Prime Minister, to decide to go and get this footage off of the camera and whatever else, DVR and so on, and to share it with somebody so that they could post it on social media and cast all kind of aspersions on the Prime Minister. But I want to give kudos to the few members of the illiterati, or maybe they're not members of the illiterati, the few sensible members of the UNC, albeit in small numbers, who in the comments would have called out, kick out the PNM for their foolishness, who would have said comments like, I don't like Rowley, but this is a new low. Really? The man is at the end of the day, he's a human being, so he can't go in a shop or a grocery and buy something to eat. What is all trying to make out here? So there were a few people who said that, right? A few. But I just wanted to highlight the level of nastiness that these people will go to in order to discredit the Prime Minister. Listen, 2010 to 2015, you didn't have to go that low? No, because there was ample ammunition out there to be able to put out. But that was cogent without you having to go to that low level. But I want to come back to the leader of the opposition, right? And this claim that our Coast Guard officers killed, that they murdered, to use her word, murdered the baby, right? Now, as demeaning as that is, and one must also take into consideration the impact that would have on the morale of the Coast Guard officers who would have been involved in that incident, that without an investigation being complete, without having full knowledge of the circumstances of that whole situation, that a senior politician, the person who is considered to be the Prime Minister in waiting and leader of the government in waiting, would jump out herself and make such a claim. And then she's so concerned and so upset about what happened to this baby, that this baby was murdered by the Coast Guard. How could they do such a thing? I want to ask Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar this morning, were you as concerned about all the other babies who were murdered, allegedly by a certain doctor, madam, who might be close to you? You know? True, because they say if it is that persons wanted to, as they say in Trinidad, throw away child, you would go to this particular doctor. I call no names, but the doctor is alleged to be, somebody who is known, or who Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar knows. So I wonder when those babies were killed or murdered, were you as concerned? I'm just asking the question. Were you? I'll just leave that there, right? But again, we speak to the issue of hypocrisy. That is what the UNC represents, hypocrisy. So you have a Venezuelan politician now praising Kamla Prasad-Bissessar for being brave enough to throw the Coast Guardsmen under the bus, for being brave enough to jump out yourself as a senior counsel in the absence of any kind of evidence and just make a claim like that. And, as I was doing some research, because when I saw Vassan Barra's statement, I said, well, let me see who else is man enough to call out Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar on her foolishness. And I decided to look on the pages of the usual suspects, the likes of Rabindra Moonan, who was at one time chairman of CAL and chairman of HDC under that administration. Now, within recent times, Mr. Moonan has been very vocal in his condemnation of Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and her performance as leader of the opposition. Interestingly enough, he had nothing to say on this matter. Nothing on his Facebook page. If anybody has seen him put out any missive or any sort of, because normally he would write articles or send an op-ed to the newspaper condemning certain things that she does. I have not seen any. Maybe if it is that he did send out one, because it's normally posted on his Facebook page. If you have it, you could feel free to send it to me. I'd be happy to see it. I visited Larry Lala's page. Nothing. In fact, Mr. Lala just recently, as I think today or yesterday, would have put out a post on his Facebook page again condemning the government and condemning Dr. Rowley. But no condemnation of Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and her irresponsibility, right? As a fellow attorney who should be concerned that a senior counsel, political leader of the party that he supports, would bring such shame and bring the profession to which he proudly belongs, shame and odium and disrepute. You have nothing to say about that. I decided to visit Herbert Volney's page. Same thing. Nothing. Not one word of condemnation. As a former judge, a man who would have sat on the bench for years and who understands the presumption of innocence. A man who would have understood and was supposed to practice natural justice, because he would have been above. He wasn't just an attorney. This is a judge. A man who understands how the system operates, that he who alleges must prove, that you must bring evidence to make a case, that you don't prosecute, convict, and execute in the absence of. Not one word. Well, I did see, however, that Mr. Volney, not promoting him, has formed a new political party called the Justice and Freedom Party, the JFP, which he intends to launch on the 8th, I think, or the 13th, the 8th of May this year. He says that there's no political leader at this time because the decision will be made after the party is launched, where they will, the Council of Elders and so on, I suppose, would appoint somebody, but the party is going to be formally, they're going to have elections next year, May 2023, to elect a full executive slate, I suppose, to challenge the general elections of 2025. Whether they're going to go it alone, or if Mr. Volney is setting the stage for a repeat of 2010, where you have an amalgamation of political parties. So he wants to make sure that this vehicle is in place, so that when they decide to have Faizabad Accord number 2, that he could be one of the 5 or how many other parties. Because you know you have the PDP, you have the PEP, and whatever other parties are going to be formed between now and 2025 to come up against the PNM. Well, if all you believe the PNM is so weak, and if you all believe that the PNM is going to lose the election in 2025, and that's a foregone conclusion, all this other party and all kind of bacchanal all you're forming? Really? That making any sense? But then again, as I said, it worked in 2010, and we are hearing and seeing a lot of the machinations that would have taken place 2009, 2010, that would have led to the People's Partnership coming in office. We're seeing it repeating itself. Manning must go. Manning must go. That was the chant. Now is Rowley must go. Rowley must go. Manning is a dictator. Manning is a megalomaniac. Rowley is a dictator. Rowley is a megalomaniac. You notice the similarities? We know that this government is, of course, very pro property tax. So, as they continue to make overtures to have this property tax come into place, can we again expect to hear axe the tax? I wouldn't be surprised at all. Well, I don't know if Mr. Percy Villafana is still around to do so, right? But in any event, he will not have an opportunity to do so to Dr. Rowley. But we will see how that plays out. But PNM people, let me tell you something. Now, congratulations to the Tobago arm of the PNM, who have taken a decision to hold internal elections in a couple months, where the entire executive a new executive would come into place, and the current leader, Tracy Davidson Celestin, has indicated that she is not going to contest leadership. And later on this year, she's going to try and, clean up and make some adjustments to her resume so that she can go out and start looking for employment once again. And kudos to you, ma'am, for putting party first. And I sincerely hope that there would be no acrimony and no bitterness this time around with respect to this election, as we would have seen in the last one, right, which would have resulted in Mrs. Davidson Celestin's success in becoming the political leader. There's no, this lady would have been expelled from the party, unfortunately. You see, sometimes you have to learn in life to humble yourself and just wait. So Dr. Soyafat Angas, had she waited, would have had another opportunity this time around to present herself. But unfortunately, she chose to go a different path, and now she has made herself ineligible to be the next leader of the PNM. So we wait to see how that is going to play out. But I see a lot of PNM people expressing consternation with the party and Rowley. They're some of the most prominent activists in the party, doing lives on Facebook, cussing out Dr. Rowley. Rowley this and Rowley that, and he wicked and he evil and all of that nonsense. At a time when you should be closing ranks, you all want to be joining forces to some extent with the opposition. Because that's what you do. When you choose to go on Facebook and other social media platforms and do these things, and people who would normally be very vocal for the PNM sharing nonsense from the likes of Anil Roberts, sharing foolishness from Kick Out the PNM and other pro-UNC pages, attacking the leader of the party without understanding what are the dynamics. You're not doing the party any favors by doing that. Let me just throw that out there for you all. You're not doing the party any favor. So when you feel that you're doing that and then you want to say, well, I love the PNM, I's a PNM, but it's Rowley Ava is Stewart. Dr. Rowley is not the PNM, but at this point in time, he's the leader of the party. And when you are doing these things, sharing things that is anti-PNM, right? And you're creating an environment where persons who support the PNM, who, for whatever reason, disgruntled probably because they didn't get something, they wanted a contract, they didn't get it, they wanted a house, they didn't get it, they wanted a building on Duncan Street or wherever it is and they didn't get it, they wanted 3 buildings painted in Chumakak and they didn't get it. So they're attacking the party at every turn, and you share these things. Think about it. You can imagine, think for a minute, 2025, general election night, and the results are in, and the United National Congress or whatever entity they will be contesting that election under is successful in winning the majority of seats. And you will be facing the possibility of a man like Anil Roberts being a minister of government in this country again. The nastiness, the low, unprecedented low levels to which this man has sunk since he has been reappointed, since he was appointed as senator by Kamla Persad-Bissessar. And it speaks to one of the biggest issues that we had with Mrs. Persad-Bissessar when she was prime minister, that of poor judgment in her selection of people to work with her to administer governance in this country. She seems to, for whatever reason, I don't know if he probably has something over her, but she has embraced this man and his nastiness. Right? Never condemning all the nasty things that he says, has embraced him and brought him back into the fold. And so now he is one of the more prominent voices. And they believe that what he does on radio and what he does on social media, that somehow that contributes to improving their chances of getting back into office in 2025. In fact, I read an article where I believe Mrs. Persad-Bissessar and the executive of the UNC is saying, as a result of the landslide victory last week Monday, in the DB South by-election, they believe that that points to, not if, but when they return to office, that is a sign that they are poised to return to office in 2025, or if an election is called sooner. Dream on. 7,500 persons eligible to vote. The UNC get 1,250 votes, as opposed to 1,250 something votes, as opposed to the 2,800 and some that they got in 2.5 years ago in the substantive local government election. But they're not talking about that, right? They're not talking about the fact that some 1,600 persons would have voted for them in December of 2019, 2020, thereabouts, 2019. 1,600 people didn't care to come out and vote in this election, this by-election. Whether it be that they just figured, well, it's a formality that the UNC going to win this, or whether it is that some of them just displeased with what that party has become. And so we've seen some level of movement towards the PEP, the PEP. That is where the disgruntled UNC supporters are inclined to shift to. Make no mistake about it. We have an election. This is an election year. We have a local election coming up on or about November or December this year. Dr. Rowley is not one to avail himself of the extra 90 days that he has. So let us assume then that we have an election in December of this year. We already see the play that is being set up. So let's bring in the PDP and the East-West corridor, which is where the PNM strength lies, to undermine the PNM, to sing a song for the disgruntled. Let us go after the youth, the soft-head youth. Because they're saying all the older heads, the PNM diehards whose PNM till are dead, well, plenty of them dead. Or they dying. And so the new generation that would have spawned from those, so they're no longer growing up. This thing about, well, I grew up in a PNM house and therefore I'm supposed to support the PNM, that is a dying thing. And so therefore these persons, these youth who would have grown up in PNM houses are a little more pliable to what the PDP has to offer. And we saw the success that Mr. Duke would have experienced in Tobago, particularly among the youth with the certain promises that were made. But look what's happening in Tobago now. We're hearing that CPF workers haven't been paid since December. How come nobody ain't talking about that? The guy who loves to call in and say, we're making mischief and so on. Why you don't call in? When the lines open, call in and tell us why that is happening now. Because you remember you have a plaster for every sore, right? And you know you have the answers for everything. The transformational leaders, the man who says transformational leader, how come you ain't talking about that? But the ads are upon us. We go to the break and we'll be back in a little bit.
Long time we away, jump up on a stage, on mash up the place. Just a party again, is the remedy before it's too late. Doctor, we need a jump in a one, we can't wait. A good set under the sun until the party done is what we need in the
Simpsons Memorial Limited, number 63 Eastern Main Road, Laventille. Internationally accredited funeral directors and embalmers. A full-service funeral home serving families of Trinidad and Tobago and internationally since 1945. At Simpsons Memorial Limited, we serve with dignity in assisting families in honoring the memory of their loved ones. Our services include professional funeral and pre-planning, burials and cremation, custom-built and imported caskets, coffins and cremation trays, cemetery management, limousines, mourners cars, grief counseling, web streaming of funerals, fully air-conditioned chapel with live musical accompaniment, full global shipping and receiving of loved ones. We specialize in facial restorations. Call us anytime, day or night, at 623-8688. That number again is 623-8688. Simpsons Memorial Limited. Superior service, always with excellence.
Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to listen to the live Temple of Restoration, Pastor Curlin and the team. The Temple of Restoration is located at number 12 Endeavor Road, Chaguanas, opposite the Curep taxi stand. For more information, contact 488-4413 or 777-8691. The Temple of Restoration, where Jesus changes lives.
Season 22. Defend we culture.
Ule, come take an even from me. Ule, twist no wine, see ule, no pan, no mass, no party, no celebrations in the country. Oh no chance. The 24th of February, it's all about my concert, and it's going down at Songforge. Make sure be there.
Season 22. Defend we culture. At Soundforge.
We spirit must live on!
There's a new taste in town. Maracas Bacon Shack at 79 Robert Street in Woodbrook brings you bacon shot, kingfish, fries, shrimp, aloo pies, and delectable sauces to tease your taste buds. Walk in, order with food drop, or get parking lot pickup at 488 Bake or 75 Shot. Need catering? No problem. Call or email tastemaracas@gmail.com. Follow Taste Maracas on social media for all the delicious details. Taste Maracas, the new taste in town. Corner of Roberts and Rosalino Streets. See you soon.
What is Apex? It is the pinnacle of high-performance vision through a lens. It's clarity, no matter what angle you look at. It's comfort, no matter what you do all day, every day. And it's customized, with every digital measurement your eyes require to see at their very best. Apex Digital Lenses by Value Optical, the ultimate lens design for your eyes. Value Optical, expert care for your eyes.
Join Pastor Kelvin Heinerine and friends for The Way, The Truth, The Life Radio Ministry, a Church of God ministry, live on the Street 919 FM from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. This and every Sunday on the Street 919 FM. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father except through me. John chapter 14, verse 6. For further information, contact 686-3845-349-5178 or 342-7303.
If you're experiencing pain, constipation, headaches, poor blood circulation, high or low blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, swollen or darkened feet, come visit us at Health and Wealth Lifestyle, located at 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria, opposite Eastern Credit Union. We at Health and Wealth Lifestyle offer a wide range of services. Come and experience our new 3D analyzer, which allows you to have a look inside your body. We also provide live blood analysis, iridology, ionic foot detox with foot soak and foot massage, aquatherapy, full body massage, and organic supplements on sale such as Nano Silver, Nano Zinc, Body Light, cold pressed sesame oil, and more. Health and Wealth Lifestyle, located at number 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria, opposite Eastern Credit Union. For more information, information, call 275-8359 or 288-1108.
Join Nicole Huggins for Health and Wealth Lifestyle every Monday from 9:05 a.m. to 9:55 a.m. right here on the street 919 FM.
Police, good day. Officer Best Price here. Johnny Q Auto Parts Division?
Yes, sir.
I'm here to investigate an assault on batteries.
Excuse me, sir?
Is it true? You have batteries selling for $488?
Yes. Power Master, Optima, Vata, and Megastar batteries.
So I could buy a battery for $488?
Yes, sir. For cars, trucks, and boats. Backed and distributed by Massey Automotive.
Which part?
Right here at Johnny Q Hardware and Auto Parts Division, 15 Arrowbita Avenue, Woodbrook. And our new Johnny Q Superstore, located at Lowlands Mall off Claude Noel Highway in Tobago. You could call 60 Tools.
All right. Thanks, boss. Nah, man. Granny?
Do you have $488 to lend, man?
Hi, what's up, TNT? This is Wayne Johnson out of Brooklyn, New York. I always wanted to do something back home, and we're going to be doing our gospel segment on Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM. Listen what I want you to do. Spread the word. Spread the word, TNT.
Salvation, full and free. Salvation is for everybody.
Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM every Friday from 9:15 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. with Kingdom Health Services, situated at number 125 Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna. For the program, Health and Healing, merging the old with the new with Mr. Brent Diet. For more information, call 318-7471 or 484-0141 or 360-4100. It's all about Kingdom Health Services on the Street 919 FM.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Trinidad and Tobago, TUCO, in collaboration with the NCC, invites you to the National Extempo Preliminaries on Monday, 14th February from 7 p.m. at the Queen's Hall, Safe Zone, Port of Spain. Who will move through to the final round to be crowned the Extempo King this year? Come see for yourself. Admission is free. Queen's Hall, Port of Spain, this Monday at 7 p.m. For more info, contact the NCC at 622-1670 or visit tntcarnivalworld.com. Season 22, Defend We Culture at Sound Forge. Defend We Mass. Defend We Music. Defending who we are. Come experience the Carnival Village at Sound Forge from February 22nd to February 28th. 7 days of live entertainment in a secure indoor-outdoor environment. We have soca, pan, calypso, food and drink, and carnival characters. All COVID-19 protocols will be observed. Proof of vaccination must be presented on entry. Tickets are available now at tickets.soundforge.live and at the Soundforge box office. Follow us at sound.forge on Instagram for more info. Season 22, Defend We Culture at Soundforge. The spirit must live on.
welcome back. Thank you for staying locked to the street. 919 FM. So, I would have started late, but as I said, and due to circumstances beyond my control. So, I'll open the lines 342-0081-466-5391. And I'm also seeing a third phone. I don't know if that's the 771-1791 number. But, yeah. So, we'll see how that goes. I just wanted to comment quickly on one little thing I heard yesterday, right? Where usual Singapore is used as an example for stuff and whatnot. I just want to say this. One of the main reasons why Singapore is where it is today, aside from the absence of corruption, has to do with the fact that Singapore's founding father, longest serving Prime Minister, a man by the name of Lee Kuan Yew, was what you call a benevolent despot. He was a dictator. If you read his biography, you would see where one of the things that he used to do to keep people in line, particularly members of the opposition, was to jail them without cause, lock them up. If it is he wanted to implement something and he realized that they were going to be obstructionists, they would find themselves making a jail for no reason. Among other things, he ruled with an iron fist, his own words. But we like to talk about Singapore and Singapore this and Singapore, and I wept when I saw this video at Singapore and where we could have been. Tell the people the whole truth now. Don't give us, as Mr. Hines would say, half the story and chinks in with the rest. Tell them that Lee Kuan Yew was a dictator. Right? He ruled with an iron fist, and that was one of the main reasons why he was able to get Singapore to where it is today. But in Trinidad, Rowley is a megalomaniac. Rowley is a dictator. Trinidad and Tobago, Rowley wanted to take Trinidad and Tobago to become a communist country. And half all don't even know what communist means. But anyway, that's who we have here. Hello, good morning. Good afternoon, sorry.
Dominic Roman, my friend.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
To you, Dominic. How are you doing today? Dominic Roman?
I am very good.
I read Buddy told me you was at the Black to Blue Fete in Naparima Bowl. So I just wanted to come where there is no cow pens, Dominic Roman. Is that accurate? Is that fact or fiction, Dominic Roman?
That's wholly inaccurate, sir.
All right. You see, I like to ask questions, Dominic Roman. Dominic Roman, I want to ask you a question, right? In the United States of America, we have two parties. We have the Republicans and we have the Democrats. Joseph Biden have an empowerment program for black people and black businesses in this country called Lift Every Voice. That is for the 13 to 14% black people and black businesses in this country. The Republican Party, under President Donald Trump, and when he was running for re-election, had an empowerment program for black businesses and black people called the Platinum Plan. So my question to you, Dominic Roman, is where is the PNM empowerment program for black people and black businesses in Trinidad and Tobago? But I want to go on a little quickly because I was listening to you talking about the two transformational leaders in the last decade in Trinidad and Tobago, Watson Solomon Duke, and Mr. Falish Chavez Augustine. Mr. Watson Duke came out recently and told the men of Trinidad and Tobago to man up. But the blackest man in Trinidad and Tobago, his words, not mine, the current Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, tell women in Trinidad and Tobago, what's the man you're bringing into your bedroom? In addition to that, the other transformational leader, Mr. Falish Chavez Augustine, recently stated that the 60,000 people in Tobago, those who don't have land titles, will be receiving their land titles in Tobago in less than 3 months. Another transformational leader giving the people of Tobago their land title. When is the PNM, led by the blackest man in Trinidad and Tobago, going to do the same thing, Dominic Roman? When?
And when is Fali going to give the public servants of Tobago the ex gratia payment that they were supposed to get since Christmas? Because if you didn't get them that, I wouldn't even put up a pint of salt with respect to that promise of land title.
Great, Dominic Roman. Here's what else. You see, you raised some good points, but the transformational leader now went to the PNM, and now they are getting more than their assessment, what's allocated to them, just not monthly now, but they're going to get it maybe quarterly. So therefore, there should be money now in the kitty in order for them to fulfill that promise. Be patient.
Yeah, but Fali told us that they have over 50 million in unspent balances, so why they didn't take it from there? So you're just building up
Dominic,
a coffer of unspent balances to say you save money? That don't make no sense. And CPF workers and get paid since December?
But Dominic, look, since 2013, many people haven't got raises in Trinidad and Tobago.
And the PDP promised different, but if you can't use that as an example, the PDP said that they would do differently from the PNM. So when are the CPF workers going to get paid? These are the lowest paid people.
But Dominic, they are doing different. The PNM sending home people. Look, the TSTT. What happened to the TSTT people? What
happened to the TSTT people since 2014? I would have read that out last week, where a plan under the People's Partnership, where the board of TSTT at that time had announced that they would have a 5-year restructuring plan, which involves sending home 25% of TSTT staff. TSTT staff at that time was 2,800, so 25% would have been 700 people. This is not something that started under this administration since 2014.
So Dominic, why don't they not do it? They don't have to do what the PDP do. They can do differently because they're accusing the PDP in Tobago of sending home people, right? And not only that, but Dominic, I want to ask you a question. You sit on our board, right? You are a PNM appointed board member as well as the other partner, Dwayne. All these PNM appointed board members. If another party is supposed to come into power, you guys will be removed from that board. That is the politics of Trinidad and Tobago. If the PNM appointed certain people to work, right, and their work have no purpose, all you're saying that the PDP should keep them. They were appointed by the PNM, and the PDP should keep them.
So let me ask you a question. When these people were appointed 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it had no PDP. So who should they have hired? No PDP supporters because that party didn't exist. So who should the PNM should have hired?
Dominic, the PNM are giving their people work.
Yeah, but you are the same one who like to complain that the PNM ain't doing nothing for the people, that they not doing nothing for the people that beat them. And the same thing you're coming to advocate now that they don't care about Lavantil and all of that. But now you're advocating that they need to, you have an issue with them doing things for PNM people. You have to pick a struggle, Wall Street.
Let me ask you a question. How many PNM people from the Beatum, was appointed to boards?
I wouldn't know that, but I know at least one person get a contract to do a swimming pool.
One people.
Well, you tell me how many of them got appointed now, since you know.
I don't know.
And I don't know either. So therefore, if you don't know and I don't know, it would be simply conjecture for either one of us to offer an answer.
But Dominic, you don't think a community that's a stronghold for the PNM for over 60 years have never forsaken the PNM? At least the PNM could have appointed one person or two persons from them communities to board.
Yeah, but you don't know if that happened. A man got a contract, a young guy got a contract, and I saw you posted on your Facebook page congratulating him. So therefore, if he got a contract, who is to say that other people didn't get? Not everybody want to run out and say, well, hey, the PNM give me this and the PNM give me that. So if you can't tell me,
Dominic,
you cannot tell me
if
in fact people got board appointments, then you should leave that there.
No, I shouldn't leave it there asking questions.
Well, you're asking the questions to the wrong person. You need to come down to Trinidad and spend the 7 days in Beatum and ask people, and you're going to find out.
You see, no, all right, I'll go close on this one. You see, Dominic, you guys are so disingenuous. You want me to come to Trinidad to spend 7 days in Beatum, but you're not asking the MP who lives in Trinidad, who is the MP for that constituency, to go and spend 7 days in Beatum.
Yeah, but the last time the MP went there to try and spend half an hour, they kicked dirty, nasty water on him. So where want to go and do? You want to go and get 7 times now?
Dominic, I am challenging the member of parliament for Lavantil West. You spend 7 days, I will come to Trinidad and Tobago 2 weeks. I'll take time off from school. As a matter of fact, I'll teach online classes while I'm in Beatum, so a lot of them kids can come and see a little black boy from Chumaka, Lavantil, right, teaching kids in America online class. Dominic Roman, I say again to you, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to come in. I want you to have a fantabulous, splendiferous, tremendous rest of the day. Dominic, before you go, do you like the Super Bowl? Today is one of the biggest events in America. You like the Super Bowl?
I don't really follow American football.
All right, no problem. You enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
You too, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Now, in my opinion, this Venezuelan ambassador who join agreement with the opposition leader to criticize the soldier, the fellow's name again, the Coast Guard people were murdering a child. I want to say he should be ashamed to talk because he should have been the ambassador for Venezuela so that they could treat their people better, so that they could stay in their country and don't end up with this thing. When you come to think of it, of so many adults in that boat, it comes that little child is like a needle in a haystack for a Coast Guard man to aim at this child, to shoot this child. I wonder if he really gets shot by the Coast Guard gun. And what I am saying, you see, all the people and them who are disagreeing with our Prime Minister, if he used to thief, they would have able to surround him more. But they can't do what they want to do to get what they want to do, to thief like others. And this is why they figure they can't get away with it. So this is why they don't like him. But he will remain who he is, and we, the people in the country, who knows that he's doing the right thing, we are going to support him. All who figure they want to do, they underhand something, let them go and meet their group. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Uncle Dominic, good afternoon. How are you doing, man?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm good.
Right, bless the Lord, man. Where this man, and he just keep it too long, you know. I'm not telling you how to run the program, but where this crazy man Wall Street has come from? You only talking about a foolishness all the time, man. And coming and talk about getting a land title within 3 months and all kind of nonsense. This thing is not a pick up today and get it done tomorrow. That is something been coming long time for Mr. London and all of them. It's not something that is so easy because some of the people even trying to object against it and they're not doing what the government asked them to do to fill out the forms and then maybe because they're hanky-panky in. Come on, Mr. Wall Street, why you don't keep yourself quiet and stop calling in the program and taking up time talking rubbish? Come in the beat-up and be the representative, and that is what we declared for, that you would be the representative so you'd have everything done for the beat-up. And the Uncle Dominic, the 1,600 people that didn't vote for Ms. Kamala down in the local election, they have removed because they give them houses. Those people, it's not that they didn't want to vote, they no longer live there. Maybe they moved to different areas and maybe PNM areas. Yeah.
Thank you, Monson George. Let me see this thing too high. Who do I have here? Hello, good afternoon. What's going on with this thing, man? Hello, good afternoon. I don't know what's going on there. St. James, good afternoon.
Hey, Dominic, boy.
Greetings.
You gonna echo feedback?
No.
Boy, Dominic, this man is just promoting himself, and this man is suffering from mental illness. You trying to create like some black intellectual in Trinidad, the racial historical with African people and in Trinidad with PNM. That is totally wrong. You're talking about 200 years of independence where black people were less than a dog. You equating PNM who have been Afro-based party 50, 60 years of independence, or every policy have been meant for African people, taking them out of poverty from education. Why? Straight up. He equating systemic racialism in America where there are boards that he don't have nobody looking like him. He talking about the Super Bowl. You know, that's 3 years ago. The Super Bowl had to negotiate with Jay-Z, bringing him on the board, and he was the only black man. You can't equate the only black man, so they give him the entertainment today in the Super Bowl. What should you can't fool nobody, boy? You suffering from mental illness, And you making discriminatory statements like only referring the Prime Minister to the blackest man and saying he say that. That is discrimination. You are trying to send a signal to people to call the Prime Minister that and to look at him that. That is a discriminatory mark you people making over and over in a sarcastic way. That's what you're doing. Something wrong with that fella. You're trying to create American black history with Trinidad history. And there was the night, there was, I think last night on news on TV, there was some young lady who have excelled from on the BTOM, from in UTT, from the College of UTT, Dominic, who are passed with first class honors in UTT with electrical engineering. This fella too, he trying to fool boy, and Dominic, let me move on from that idiot. He's suffering from mental illness. Dominic, I found a building for him on Frederick Street opposite your alma mater. If he wants a building to buy, he just wants his name on something. It's our big for sale sign on Dominic at the top of Frederick Street. If Wall Street interested, you always have money to give people.
Yeah.
You could just walk down to Eastern Credit Union and flip the 50,000 USD and get a loan and purchase the building. If the banks don't lend the money. Them fellas is losers, boy. Them fellas is egotistic losers. They're just academics. They can't do nothing from the bottom up. Right? Dominic, let me talk, Dominic, about the signal. The signal that is being sent on the ground. A vacuum was created with the 2 years of the pandemic, right? Of the government. Dr. Rowley said he was only focusing on saving lives. And a vacuum was created by opposition forces and opposition politics. The same sentiment from 2009 to 2010 against Patrick Manning. Dr. Rowley must be aware of that, right? And a signal has been sent into the Afro-Black community, right? That Dr. Rowley don't care about all you. And then the vaccine uptake, which is being sold by the opposition and the union, that is mandatory. That is very unpopular in the black communities. You know, there's reasons for that and cultures for that. So PNM people have turned off, and the vacuum was created. So that is why the government is so unpopular. Dr. Rowley have read 6% of people have been. So the government is very unpopular at this point in time, and it's not because of corruption. It's not because of there's some bread and butter issues or Dominic's cabinet is corrupt or Dr. Rowley. It is basically more seen in the pandemic, people being restricted, the vaccine uptake, that people see that mandatory. That the government didn't sell it that way, but that's how it's been sold, Dominic. In the Afro community, and people and the Afro community, they're buying things. So just yesterday, everywhere you go, people are talking Dr. Rowley and the government, like they say, you're forcing me to take a vaccine I don't want. So what else happened? There's some bread and butter issues on the ground, right? It could be curtailed, but the government, PNM can't wait till the 99th hour for the election to start paving roads. A lot have been done in the social sector, and there's some bread and butter issues, and PNM mustn't be in fault for that. Because anytime you try to pave roads in the 99th hour, there's a young black population who won't look sincere. So if there's 3,000 potholes, somebody, they should brainstorm in the cabinet and say, hey, here what's going on. Let me get some money to fund the roads, because every pedestrian, every traveler, every driver have to use the road. So a vacuum, Dominic, have been sent. They can't fool me with that. But you remember, Dominic, they can't fool me and you, but the average Joe on the ground who's seen hardship in sense in the pandemic being locked down, they buy stock and barrel trade. And this is why I'm asking the government to keep telling them, you could battle and build at the same time. Time to refocus, time to recalibrate, time to look at things in a different way and push forward and see what you could do while you fight the pandemic. But watch them fellas is losers. You see them fellas is losers. Them fellas here to stay in America, you trying to equate American black history with Trinidad black history. Man, give me a break now, boy. Dominic, thanks, boy.
Thank you, sir.
Well, let's say your program, but an ardent listener of 91.9.
Welcome.
Dominic, I think Wall Street wants you to change your program each time he comes. Now, I am going to be a part of it by talking about Wall Street. I'm saying Wall Street has no class. He's classless because he's talking about the people of Trumakak and Beatum. And what he's been doing, bringing down a black man like himself to be cursing Dr. Rowley every day. He wants Dr. Rowley to take the building and give it to him. And when he gets it and he has his name up on the building, that they take Dr. Rowley they take him to court and put him in jail. That's what he wants to see. That and God says he won't get no building. Let Wall Street stay where he spent 42 years and see if he could get a building in New Jersey to put his name on the building. Ungrateful. Have a nice day, Dominic. I'm fed up of this man.
Thank you.
Fed up of it. I think he should. I don't know what kind of teacher he is. He's not teaching nobody. Wall Street doing that because he wants to create an impression of himself. He's classless. Have a nice day, Dominic. Bye-bye.
Thank you, caller. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Dominic.
Hey, Jenny.
Hi, good afternoon, all the callers and listeners of 91.9. And Dominic, thank you so much for the shout-out that you gave to me on my week protest.
Most welcome.
Yes. I want to shout out quickly Mr. St. Louis and the gentleman who stopped to tell me that he hear that you say down the road. So when he passed, he looked for me and he gave me a shout out. Can't remember his name. Good morning to you, sir.
Nice.
I'm sure you'll know who it is. Dominic, I just want to address this very quickly because it's kind of troubling to me. I shudder when I think that Mr. Anselm Laborde, a.k.a. Wall Street, is a lecturer and actually teach people's children, especially as I heard in a prestigious Catholic school, university. Because his conversation is, to me, is always basic. Leave that to persons like me who are unlettered. Because if you're using the word transformational leader and you're ascribing it to a man who is before the court on rape, 4 counts of sexual assault, a man whose name is before the frauds court on alleged fraudulent taking money from the organization that he ruled, one who would have brought out the organization that he would have been in charge in almost its knees, can't account for $6 million and all that. And I'm not the one who joined with this individual I speak about, and you're calling these people transformational leader in a Catholic school. So are you promoting that it's okay to allegedly teach being corruption, as to be before the court on rape, and things like that, and still be considered a transformational leader? I have a lot of disquiet with that. But I will move on. I hope that when he calls, he'll be able to critically analyze a topic before he gives his views, because it always sounds like rhetoric, and it goes nowhere. It hasn't grown since I've been listening. I've been waiting anxiously to hear what he has to bring, because, of course, he has 40-something years of experience in New York, in America, as a matter of fact, and he's also a lecturer in an esteemed university, Catholic University. So I always look forward to hearing his thoughts and critical thinking. It's still wanting. I'm still waiting. The situation that we have with Mr. Volley and all those who are opposed to the PNM, you have to understand the enemy, and by enemy I mean anything that is opposed to you or something. They are political enemies. And if you understand them and we understand ourselves, you'll know what we're dealing with. You're not going to get anything different from them. You will keep degenerating and getting more outrageous in things they're saying and doing, because they realize they cannot stop Dr. Rowley, who is the ultimate transformational leader. He is doing what he's saying. He's not afraid to do it, whether or not everybody agrees. Because to be a leader, if you were to listen to this one say, don't do this, this one say, do that, this one, ultimately you have to make a decision. And he's taken the hard decision that all other governments, PNM and otherwise, would have refused to take for whatever reason, the petrol, the water and all that. And finally, before I go, the unions in this country, unions are very relevant. I'll tell you why. Once there's labor and there's work and there's employers and employees, there will be conflict and there will be employers who will always want to take advantage of labor. And that is where the union comes in. So unions are very relevant. However, in the format that unions are in right now in this country, this is my opinion, they are making themselves obsolete and making themselves not relevant, because they're not coming with any idea that is fresh and new. They continue to operate in a mode that Butler, Elmer Francis, and the others who would have had to operate it like that back in the day, they still continue like that. They refuse to come at the table. Dr. Rowley would have said to Minister Gonzalez, bring the union to the table, let them come with ideas to treat and deal with WASA. And already Natu has said they're not coming. What does that say? You have a blessed week. Safely, and it's always a pleasure as usual. Bye.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic. Happy Sunday to you.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, are you hearing me?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello? Good afternoon. Are you hearing?
Yeah, a little low, but you can go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm talking a little loud. Say good Sunday afternoon to you. Dominic, I didn't know where this gentleman in the U.S., Wall Street, is getting his information from and how long he left Trinidad and Tobago. But we must remind him that the PNM built UTT. They also put gate in place to educate its citizens. They did not discriminate. They wanted everybody to have a better chance. They educated them and also trained them in every area you can think of employment. Okay? So my family, I say not my relatives, not my immediate children, benefited from on-the-job training. Okay? So, and when he talk about leadership, he must prove himself what type of leader he is. Because the PNM, they have done it for Trinidad and Tobago, and that's what it is. And everybody wants now to jump into the politics and pretend to be leaders for the people, but it's all about themselves. That's why they're forming the different parties, like you said earlier. They're forming these little groups, so they could get a little group here, a little group there, and then join and make a big group. They cannot do it by themselves. It's all about fool the people. And it's the same Donald Trump that he's talking about. I want him to come on the radio and say exactly what Donald Trump talked about the people of the West Indies, these adjectives he described to them. Also, the mayor of Florida, he didn't respond, but I responded to that article where the mayor of Florida calling the behavior by his people of third world country. Yeah. Third world country. And I responded to that. Did he respond to that? That is how the people he supports treat the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Right? So, it's waste of time talking about things he knows. They're all about forming party and getting a job. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
You knew how Miss Angus was treated from the top. You remember how she was treated from the top, Dominic? Anyhow, don't answer that. I didn't call for that. Let me tell you what I called for. Last night on the news, I listened to the Philip Tracy interview. And Tracy is still telling the people how she is still the political leader of the PNM. And how she just talked to Dr. Rowley regular. Everybody else, are you there, Dominic?
I am, sir.
All right, I hear that noise. Everybody else in the council called for Tracy to resign, except Dr. Rowley. Dominic, a little birdie came and told me how they have information that Dr. Rowley is planning to send Philip Tracy on a posting out there in Europe. He brought her back from a posting thinking she will control the Tobago House of Assembly. She did a set of nonsense, Dominic. And if it is so, Dr. Rowley want to send you back on a posting out there in Europe. Dominic, I come like Mr. Paul of Spain. I'm waiting in the wings for him to do that. I'm waiting in the wings, Dominic. I will leave it here.
Thank you, sir. I have no information on that. We'll see. Hello, good afternoon.
Uncle Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Me again. Mr. Libide, why you don't shut your mouth? Is you alone listen to TV? Uncle Dominic, what Miss Tracy Davison said is that she is the political leader of the PNM Council. And she's totally correct. She was elected as the leader. It's because of the election and they lose the election. Didn't give her the reason to resign immediately, because as the leader, she would have left everything undone and just go. She said she's still the leader, and when the election is called, she's not going to go back for nomination because she understands what is taking place. And failure has caused certain things to happen, and she's going to use her resume. Mr. Leave it alone or leave it, whatever you are. You all stop telling people who didn't hear things the wrong things. And I quite agree with Tracy because I was telling some people here, everybody saying she should resign. I'm saying she should wait until the correct time because, Uncle Dominic, because you are the head of the home and something happened. You try to stabilize your people and whatever and put things in place before you actually take off. As she said, she didn't want to leave them on a drifting boat and swim ashore, because let us say the captain do that and the enemy come and kill all the rest of people on the boat. What will happen? So she was quite right, and not because she's talking to Dr. Rowley. Dr. Rowley is the political leader of the PNM of Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM party. What is wrong with him talking to her? She said whenever they have to talk, she talk with him. She never disclosed what they're talking. So why can't call Uncle Dominic and talk to him all the time on the radio? Why people so disingenuous and stupid and like to make foolish comments?
Thank you, Bonsa George. Let's see. Hello, good afternoon.
Tracy Davis. And so if Dr. Rowley wants to send out anywhere else, that is his business. I don't understand these people, their foolishness. I really don't understand that. All right? And Mr. USC, he has some kind of building spirit on him, because you always talking like that spirit doesn't be haunting evil. So that building means can't get any up. He has to have a spirit on him. Always talking once chopping it over and over and over and over. And the people on the beach, and the people on the beach, and ask them to represent them. But you have a nice day, Dominic. You can reach home.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kola. Oh, Lois. I don't know what it is these people have with Dr. Rowley. Let's see who we have here. Hello, good afternoon. Hi.
So you could give him that a whole Dolce and a lot of rapists spiritual leader. Bye. Okay.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, caller, go ahead.
Well, we have the photo system like this one, I can't hear me now, boy. Well, we have already was talking about the gutter. There's not only the gutter come from under the pavement, but hell also come from underneath there too, and the way the thing going, like some of them either they come from there or they're heading in that direction. Because from what I see, is exact politics playing in Trinidad, right? When it's handle vaccines, we want vaccines. When we get vaccines, we don't want no vaccines. When there's restrictions, we don't want restrictions. When we remove restrictions, we want restrictions. You understand what I'm saying? It's chaos we're trying to create in society.
Yes.
Just to bring down our government. We'll prevent the IMF from coming here. And at this point in time, we seem to be gaining control of the pandemic what's taking place in the country. Right? And considering that picture, the obviously the Prime Minister staying in a contractor house. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I say one of his family, we realize he gives his family some of the best AGC houses in Ridgewood Park or wherever you call it.
Mm-hmm.
I say something like that, meaning just speculating. I say don't be find out the Prime Minister's wife is somebody who does tell people show your child. You understand? But anyhow, we must be really having a republic here, because I tell you, anywhere in the world, the opposition leader that make that statement concerning the killing, the unfortunate, tragic killing of that baby, she would no longer have a political career. And I guess that is why some countries develop more than others.
Yes.
Because somehow in some countries, regardless what you say about them, they realize, according to our president, beloved Prime Minister, that office is not a romance. You don't fall in love with office. It's about morals, values, principles, ethics. And if you don't have the above, it's going to be a really rocky ride. They're going to make your country look bad. So in these countries, every time you slip a little bit, they catch you watching a little porn or somebody think what we would think irrelevant down here. The principal standard is so high that they immediately resign or they stop saying anything, much less for committing verbal treason against the country. Because I can remember the so-called trans person, Kia. It wasn't the same people who defending these people now was making all kind of bacchanal all over the country. Rowley bringing Venezuelans to vote for him. Rowley bringing Venezuelans to do this. And many prime ministers showed them the problem was existing long before this government came in. He was only trying to normalize the situation. And we all know what he did. Wow. It's the same people coming forward now and condemning this man and his government, boy. I can't reconcile with them kind of thing, Dominic.
Yes.
I know your time running out, but I don't know. Some people in Trinidad, they view politicians as gods and goddesses. And right there, like, over half our problem, Because on the next side, you have people who will watch issues, and regardless of how you look or what religion you belong to, they're not standing still. But on the other side, you have a significant amount of people in this country who will put aside everything and deal with you just because you look like them or you sound like them or they like you. You understand? And I saw it was a boatload of Haitians or Grenadians coming into this country. You know why you would be here now? Why you didn't kill all of them? Why you let them come in? And why? So in closing, Jed, or they lick up this government and are shown the IMF won't come or the prices will raise, food prices will drop because we will plant all the food here and we ain't going to import nothing again. Yeah, then COVID will go away, unemployment will disappear, Wasanti and tech, we don't have to frighten them, will never be privatized. And just like the THA in Tobago, all the bread buttered with peanut butter, not butter, peanut butter. You understand? Because they realize the Africans, and forgive me for those who don't like to be called Africans, the Negroes in this country, the majority of them don't defend nothing. Right? They easy to cajole, and once you put money in front of them, they won't think twice to sell anything. That is why they will put the PDP in the East-West corridor. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kola. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Good afternoon.
All right. I didn't hear your program from the beginning because doing some yard work. But I came inside and I just want to say to the callers, I think the guy who just called, who is quote-unquote the professor, I just think he just be laughing because he just throw off people. So I think he like the little thing when he hear people call him and start to talk about it, he does be giggling, he. So I think that we as callers should ignore him. No matter what he say, just ignore him. I mean, the host, you will wish that the host will shut them up sometimes, but I mean, the host maybe want to give everybody, the hosts of the programs maybe want to give everybody their fair thing. But sometimes I just turn my radio right down when he starts and let him go. I don't really listen to what he has to say because it's the same thing as we know. So I think we should just try it's hard, but I think we should just try our very best when we call to just step over him like if he didn't say nothing, because sometimes half of the program just end up being in answering him or telling him something. So from now on, let us try our best to just ignore that man and pretend that he didn't even say anything. Lower your radio down, put it back up or whatever device you're using until he finished. Because he comes and change and get your vex, raise your pressure, which is not necessary. So that is my contribution. I didn't hear much of what you're saying, but I just wanted to say that. So that is it. Bye.
Thank you, Kola. All right, 667, just hold one sec. We just have 2 ads to read quickly. Yeah? Oh, computer 3. Okay, just now.
Trinidad and Tobago, TUCO, in collaboration with the NCC, invites you to the National Extempo Preliminaries on Monday, 14th February from 7 p.m. at the Queen's Hall, Safe Zone, Port of Spain. Who will move through to the final round to be crowned the Extempo King this year? Come see for yourself. Admission is free. Queen's Hall, Port of Spain, this Monday at 7 p.m. For more info, contact the NCC at 622-1670 or visit tntcarnivalworld.com. Season 22. Defend We Culture at Sound Forge. Defend We Mass. Defend We Music. Defending Who We Are. Come experience the Carnival Village at Sound Forge from February 22nd to the 28th. 7 days of live entertainment in a secure indoor-outdoor environment. We have soca, pan, calypso, food and drinks, and carnival characters. All COVID protocols will be observed. Proof of vaccination must be presented on entry. Tickets are available now at tickets.soundforge.live and at the Soundforge box office. Follow us at sound.forge on Instagram for more info. Season 22. Defend We Culture at Soundforge. The spirit must live on.
Thank you very much. 667, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dominic.
Good afternoon.
And to all listeners and callers of this station. You know, I want to say something to all the naysayers. Dr. Rowley knows exactly what he has to do. And I see where oil prices rising now and everybody start to get jittery. But I want to tell is Mr. Leave It there that Stacey Davidson Celestine is a very educated woman and she was in a foreign mission before. And that if she came here to try to bring the party into power and okay, they failed this time. So, and she feels she must give up that position and let somebody else try. What is wrong with Dr. Rowley posting her somewhere else? What do you want her to do? Come out on the streets of Scarborough and beg? She's a very educated woman and can be of service to this country elsewhere. So if you feel to send her back to a foreign mission, what is wrong with that? What could you do? You're worrying about if he do it, you're waiting to see. What can you do? There's nothing you can do. Dr. Rowley is the Prime Minister of this country. I just want to remind all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zina. Yeah. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Dominic again. Brother. Dominic, when is local government election this year?
It's supposed to be December.
Right down. So they have actually 9 months. Dominic, Watson, what I want to see, we can't vex that Kamala Bissar is holding on to her leadership. Now, by the end of the day, her votes are based don't move. All they need is 3 seats and they're back into government. And she will have that informant in her mind. Regardless of what ill things they do or not, there's always the Afro vote that moves on the corridor and the mixed community. So PNM can't, place their faith in Tobago alone for governance. So what PNM has to do, they have to refocus strategy and tactics. And there's 6 marginal seats in Trinidad and Tobago. And you're going on a redfish expedition, right? Adventure. You have from Grandy, come down the road to Tunapuna, St. Joseph, right, and Lohokota, Talparo. And you have to see about those constituencies because there's no second place in politics. And then you have 2 in South, which is San Fernando West, and Moruga Tableland could swing anywhere. So, as I said before, please don't wait for the 99 hours to start focusing on these communities because at the end of the day, UNC voter base don't shift, it don't move, their vote don't change. We saw it in the by-election the other day. And Dominic, that by-election, that was a foregone, so people wasn't stirred up, and that's how by-election goes, right? It's only and when you drop Watson Duke on the corridor, he going fishing for redfish. That's what he fishing for because the UNC base don't move. Dominic, make a quick story. Dominic, a former UNC politician on the Basio Pandey was a clinical executive. You know, he told me when he was a minister in the Basio Pandey regime and they're going on the corridor seeking for votes, and Basio Pandey used to tell him, when you're going to an East Indian home, just look for the senior and the person who head in the home. Right? Maybe the Bauji, the granny, uncle, whoever. And wherever granny say or Beta say we going, the whole house going. That is not always in the Afro home. So we had to face reality. And I want the PNM to understand that don't study old talk. Focus where your interest is. There's 4 marginal seats up for grabs to keep you in government or out of government. Because the UNC vote don't change. Thanks, Dominic, for enjoy your Sunday.
Thank you, sir. So, lines are going, but unfortunately we're out of time, but not out of things to say. Again, my apologies for the late start today, but circumstances beyond my control. So join Sharon and Bruce in the morning at 6:30 for Titans of Democracy, and God's willing, I will be back with you on Tuesday morning, where Bruce and I will continue the conversation. So much to talk about. We'll see what transpires between now and then, but even if it's, everything is a bit somber, always something to talk about, yeah? So, that's it for me for today. Thank you for joining Cooking with Dominic Romain on a Sunday. And I trust that the meal today was a good one. So, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, the rest of your weekend. And I will see you back here you will see me back here on Tuesday morning, God's willing. So, I'm out.
Of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Simpsons Memorial Limited, number 63 Eastern Main Road, Laventille. Internationally accredited funeral directors and embalmers. A full-service funeral home serving families of Trinidad and Tobago and internationally since 1945. At Simpsons Memorial Limited, we serve with dignity in assisting families in honoring the memory of their loved ones. Our services include professional funeral and pre-planning, burials and cremation, custom-built and imported caskets, coffins and cremation trays, cemetery management, limousines, mourners cars, grief counseling, web streaming of funerals, fully air-conditioned chapel with live musical accompaniment, full global shipping and receiving of loved ones. We specialize in facial restorations. Call us anytime, day or night, at 623-8688. That number again is 623-8688. Simpsons Memorial Limited. Superior service, always with excellence.
Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to listen to the live Temple of Restoration, Pastor Curlin and the team. The Temple of Restoration is located at number 12 Endeavor Road, Chaguanas, opposite the Curab taxi stand. For more information, contact 488-4413 or 777-8691. The Temple of Restoration, where Jesus